We are live. Let's check. Yes. Play. Hello, everybody. If you can see us. And good evening, all you drummers. By Paul. Let me just check, guys. Oh, yeah, that's live. You never know because we're completely blind on the wrong side.
No, I know.
Right, good evening, all. Let's just move this table so it's a little bit easier for me. How are you all? If you're just there, we are. It's definitely live now because I can see myself. Okay. Right, if I got a couple of things to say. Hello to everybody, obviously, as I just said, and hello to everybody else. And I can see a little audience member over there. It's very off-putting there, you know. And if you want to see some of these vlogs on our YouTube channel, they're already there. If you're a beginner drummer, have a little look at vlog number 3, Roy's story. That's really funny, it's really good. And Mark Palladino's is a very nice one as well. So check them out. They're here to encourage people to just take up this beautiful instrument. We're going to mention a few of these later. You've got Evans practice pads, got some tambourines. These are very good. Vic Firth headphones. And we got a couple of effect cymbals and a couple of silent ones. And we'll explain the reasons why now. So there's Gary just leaving. Good night, Gary.
Good night, Lee.
Gary Phillips, international drummer extraordinaire, just finished his lessons off. We will see you soon. Take care. So, right then, hello to Jan. This is Jan. Now then, Jan is a very, very rare breed of a person indeed. Why? Because he's a GP. He's a doctor. So while you try like mad every morning, and it's engaged, yeah, it's because he's having a drum lesson down here instead. So we got our very own doctors here, you know, there's two that come here. So anyway, welcome to Jan, to our little place. First of all, you don't come here because you're a doctor, you came here because of...
To learn the drums, yeah.
Yes. So you came here as a complete beginner, didn't you?
Yes.
But you understood music because you played...
Played other instruments, played the cello,
yeah.
but no percussion.
No. And you do a choir, didn't you?
Yes, not at the moment because we haven't got rehearsal space in COVID, but yes, the Welsh Learners Choir it's called.
Lovely.
Called Display Podcast.
Look at that. That's excellent. So Jan came here, wanted to learn drums, done really good, flew grade 1, flew grade 2. In there on grade 3, really good. Now it's grade 4.
Grade 4.
How are you finding?
Slam the brakes on.
So I got a little question for you from a very intelligent man. That's obviously had to do his exams to get into medical school and all the rest. Do you find the drums are that easy?
No, not at all. Very hard. Very hard, and not like any other instrument I've played either. That sort of very intense focus on coordination and rhythm, I think you get it to some extent with other instruments, but not in such a great degree as you do with drums.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
It is hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we are working on it. So we're going to show these again. The reason Ludwig is back out again this week is because Jan bought a Ludwig kit from us.
Yeah.
And we did the same as what we were talking about with Roy the week before. We put all mesh heads on there and then we triggered it all, didn't we? So you can take it home and have fun. So we did that, and then you bought again the same, the UFO
exact set, isn't it?
quiet cymbals.
As well,
yeah. And Jan did the same thing, is that sometimes he plays on the quiet cymbals, so that's the feel, a better feel, and then other times he'll play on the electric kit. And the electric kit you bought again was the 2-box range, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The drum 3. So really, really nice. So that's why we thought we'd show them.
The biggest problem I had was when you practice on your electric cymbals and everything sounds great, and then you walk into the exam, and because it's an acoustic kit, it feels very different hitting the cymbals. So having these is great for that feel. You know, the sound is not fantastic, but what you lose is essentially gain in that kind of feel without the enormous noise annoying your neighbours.
Exactly.
Waking the kids up.
Yeah. And that's why we always teach in Cariad all on acoustic drums, the whole lot. So there's 3 areas we wanted to pick Jan's brains on, and that's posture, that's your back, the hands, as we mentioned, carpal tunnel, but also about the brain when you're trying to learn an instrument like the drums, how all the connections have to work. So I give a little analogy to Jan, and then he took it further, and I learned something in return. So we'll explain that one in a little bit. First of all, the old hands. Drummers do. I've had messages already on this today saying that they have suffered with it, and I mentioned to you tennis elbow.
As well, yeah.
So if somebody is suffering with, let's do tennis elbow first, and it's really painful, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
So tennis elbow is inflammation of this outer part of the elbow, and where all the muscles that run along to the back of your hand join in the elbow on the outside there. And its other name is lateral epicondylitis as well, because this is called the lateral epicondyle. And it's the best way to think of it is it's a sort of a repetitive strain injury. People are familiar with that term. So if you're doing the same action over and over again, it causes some inflammation here, and then that's what gives you the pain. The best example I can think of that is I looked after a man who works in a popular fast food chain, and a lot of his job involved lifting fryer baskets and doing that with the fryer basket. He got this terrible tennis elbow. Of course, as soon as he stopped doing that, when I did him a No.4, it went away. So it's that repetitive thing. We were talking earlier about how you can translate that to playing the drums, because if you're always drumming in a very fixed, rigid style, that opens you up to those sort of repetitive movements that cause things like tennis elbow. We're going to talk about carpal tunnel syndrome as well.
Excellent. So what we try and teach, and what often I'll teach students in Cariad, is to think about this posture, French timpani grip, German timpani grip, match, traditional. We always discuss them all and look at advantages and disadvantages. It's not about whether someone's a good drummer because they use match grip or traditional grip. It's nothing to do with that. It's all about making sure that you keep your health, isn't it? And that you can do the job you want to do. So I always teach both grips, use both grips, move the hands a lot in different ways. And as we've said before, treat the drumsticks a bit more gently, lighter, loosey-goosey, so that you're not, as you said, rigid and stiff all the time where you start getting pains through the shoulder and all the rest of it.
And it goes the whole way up that chain. It starts in your hand up to your shoulder and your neck as well. Good.
So, carpal tunnel then.
Carpal tunnel, so you've got the carpal bones, if you remember back to when you were at school, in your wrist, your metacarpals, carpals. And then they form a kind of there's a tunnel there that these tendons run through and that flex your fingers like that. And the tunnel is got four sides. It's got bone on either side and the bottom like that, and then a ligament that crosses the top and holds everything inside. And if it didn't do that, when you bent your wrist up like that, you'd have a bowstring running from your elbow. So it's vitally important. But because you've got 8 tendons running to your 4 fingers, and a nerve and also a blood vessel running through there, if you get any inflammation of those tendons, it compresses that nerve. So you get pain from the inflammation because you've got this sore tendon, actually the tendon sheath, rubbing through that tunnel. And then it's compressing the nerve, so you get nerve-type symptoms, so things like pins and needles and numbness, or when it's really bad, what's called neuropathic pain, so things like electric shocks or burning sensations in your hand. And again, it's a very similar problem. It's doing the same thing repetitively with bad hand-wrist posture causes it. And then also some people can be predisposed to it as well. So I told you before about pregnant women, because they get a little bit of swelling and things anyway, it predisposes them to that. Or people who put on a bit of weight, it can add a little bit of extra compression, just so much that then that pinches that tendon a bit more, it rubs a bit more, it gets inflamed, it compresses that nerve.
Right.
So it returns to the same theme. It's about varying posture, being nice and loose. And then something we didn't mention with your elbow is when it starts to get sore, if you're doing something and it's uncomfortable, is listening to, it's called biofeedback, is listening to that signal that your body is sending you, going, well, it's a bit sore doing it like that, I'll move my grip, I'll turn it over, I'll do it a different way, see if that helps.
Excellent. Good. So the other thing is, as I remember seeing once, if we are looking at playing drums and we have this mad passion for them and we say, right, I'm going to take 3 months off work and I'm going to practice 8 to 10 hours every single day, and we don't do anything else, that's a danger then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we are not loosening up or moving the hands.
You look at someone on a modern assembly line in a factory, and if they're doing the same thing over and over again every day, if it's a good factory, that person is going to be wearing all sorts of protective gear and splints, and they're going to be stood in a particular way, and the machine's going to be oriented toward them so that they don't have that. Whereas then if you go back, sit behind a drum kit and you're like this for 8 to 10 hours a day doing the same movement, you've got none of that protection, and you start getting all aches and pains and things.
Yeah. So you need to change it up, don't you?
Yeah.
Go and build a shed, use a hammer, knock
That's
the wall down, but whatever you do, move the hands constantly, always in different ways. They do a lot of exercises, but for me personally, especially that I've done engineering through my life, I just find as long as I'm using my hands in every shape.
Movements.
Yeah. So what happens if I've got it now then and I'm pretty rough with it?
So you got a spectrum of options. So everyone always forgets right at the beginning. If you spot signs that it's coming early and you stop doing whatever it is that's triggering it, there's every chance it will go away by itself. And perhaps even the majority of people who get a little bit of some carpal tunnel type symptoms, those will go away just by resting it and anti-inflammatories and things like that. One step up from that, then you've got maybe a bit of physiotherapy. Locally in particular, we've got good access to just open access physios. You don't have to see the doctor first, you just go straight to the physiotherapist, and there's exercises and things like that they can give you advice on. Splinting it sometimes, so people will wear night splints and things to stop their wrist flexing. And then you've got things that you can only get from the doctor, so you go and see the doctor and they might talk about steroid injections into your wrist, or even surgery to release the kind of compression that's going on in there. And that's often done as a day case, involves an incision from your palm down into your wrist. They give you a bit more room for all those tendons and nerves, and then that helps settle the whole thing down.
Yeah. So a cut, they don't cut that way, do they?
No, well,
just straight.
No, not being an orthopaedic surgeon,
No,
I'm not exactly certain, but the vast majority of people have a cut that goes down like that.
Yeah.
And what they do is they just make more room here, so they divide that ligament that's over the top and then do some clever orthopedics to give it a bit more room and close the skin up again.
Now, if I'm right, there's a drummer called Martin Webber in Swansea, I believe he's had his done. So if I'm right in my understanding, Martin, and you see this video at some point, then obviously we wish you a speedy recovery within it. But that's a man that's played drums all his life.
It's one of those things, it can be the case that by the time you've got the symptoms, it's just stopping it enough on its own, and those are the people who go on to have things like injection and surgery and stuff like that.
There we are. So try and have a look on the thing we said we would mention, NHS.
Oh, the NHS website, nhs.uk.
Good advice.
All of those topics got really good, very straightforward advice, and it tells you what you want to know. It says what the problem is, what the pharmacist can do for you, what the GP or the physio can do for you, when to worry, when not to worry.
There we are. So you can look that up yourselves, can't you? And hopefully, that's because a lot of people talk about it in the drumming industry. They are concerned about it, so hopefully that will sort of help some. And you feel the NHS app is actually very good, don't you?
Yeah, the website's brilliant. I use the website when I'm at work. If there's things you don't see every day or you see once in a blue moon, I use it just to check some of the details sometimes.
So get on there if you want to have that. So that's that one. So hopefully that helped a little. The second, I thought it was interesting. You explained how the shape of the back should be.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the curve of the neck.
Yeah, so despite what your grandmother told you, you're not meant to have a straight back. Your back is meant to have curves in it, and you have a concave curve where your neck is, a convex curve, so an outward curve where the top of your thoracic spine is between your shoulders, and then it goes in again at your lumbar spine at the back here. And if you've got good posture, you should have those three curves keeping you upright with a nice kind of forward posture, relaxed shoulders, head straight, and I said earlier, you have to imagine you've got this piece of cotton pulling the top of your scalp up towards the ceiling like that. Not like I've been half the time sat here like.
And it's funny because we talk of these things, and yet I'm always saying to your hand, posture. Exactly.
This is how I play the drums.
When I'm talking to drummers again, and I'm introducing them into drums, I always talk of 3 strings on the body. So one on the head. I always talk about a puppet. What's the most effective place to operate a puppet if there's only 3 strings attached? Head, because it pulls him straight up. and then everyone says, oh, maybe shoulders, whatever, and it's straight through the palms of the hands, so that you do that. And if you guide your body that way, the arms are only there to take the stick and the hand to where they need to play, and the uprightness, you find you're looser. I said, because so many boys will have pains through the neck by the end of the night, blisters, pains and sores. Then you need to look at your posture then, don't you, and start to think about it.
But there's a lot of, again, just listening to your body. You know, if you're sat there and you're sat a bit like I was in my lesson earlier, sat a bit further away from the hi-hat and you're kind of leaning a bit like that, you start to feel it. You get that kind of compression there and a stretch there. And you're feeling it in your buttock because you're leaning more that side. And it's about listening to that and taking the 2 seconds to go, no, hang on, move the chair, move this, move that closer. Yeah, I feel like I've got better posture now.
And they often say play from the waist as well. So get your snare good, get your bass drum, your hi-hats and your snare good. Think of that puppet up 20 past 22 for me, like that, nicely in. And if you want to turn your hand over, that's fine, but there, and then just work through. And I tend to feel, is that comfortable? What I don't agree with and I don't like is when people then start putting flat toms and cymbals are lean slightly away, and then of course we all go, oh, this is the new thing, we should all play flat toms. And then I find, oh, hang on, I'm leaning over. So for me, I don't tend to go with what I see, I tend to go with what, as you said, my body tells me. So I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. So I form a circle, an arch, and each way.
Talked about the factory earlier. If you think about like modern offices now, most people don't have a keyboard sat flat on a desk, a monitor sat at 90 degrees. You know, it's all in a natural arc to allow you to have natural posture. And the drums is no different.
For me, I do that. I go by what my body is saying as opposed to what I see on internet, and it might look really groovy. But I'm like, oh, but I don't know. It doesn't suit me doing that. Then I won't do it. So don't go with the masses. Go with what's right for you, because at the end of the day, it's your body, and you've got to look after yourself while playing.
And the funny thing is, lots of people end up doing it that way because they've seen some drummer on stage, and that drummer has done it because it matches their body shape and style of drumming. And so there's no reason why you should go and do it like that, because you're different to them. You should do what they've done in the spirit of adapt it to your style and the way you sit.
So when we're talking of the back, in, out, back, in again, when we sit in and we play, we should think about that all the time, shouldn't we, as we are playing. So you don't want to be rigid. I tend to, when I'm playing, I will purposely lean one way a little, but then I'll lean and look over at the right. I tend to look at the audience a lot, but I look purposely through playing, and I'm conscious that I'm creating an exercise for my back while I play.
And good back care is as much about what you do off the kit as it is on the kit. You know, staying active and exercising and keeping your back strong and protecting you from back pain are the things that are going to help when you're sat there as well.
Good stuff. So hopefully it's two little gems there for you. So the third thing we were going to discuss as a bit of advice is, I always use a little analogy to do with the brains, that when your brain connections, when you first jump onto an instrument, and for us it's the drum kit obviously, people can't get that rhythm together at first. How come they can't get the leg and the hand to go in motion? And I always put it to them that the thing is, the connections within the brain has never been asked to be completed. If they all connected out.
I still can't do that now.
No, I know. So I spoke to Jan on that, and I said, I see it as like in the old films, the old operator, and you phone him and you say, hello, can I be put through to 39 Beverly Street, please? And she pulls the connections and she plugs them in and pulls them. You see a massive wires and she connects. And I always try and teach that way of saying, you've got to be patient, because these connections have to be made. When they are, and you repeat them over and over, the flow happens, the body away it goes. But then, being an intelligent man that you are, you took it a stage further, didn't you? To talk about where that actually goes to get from here to Scotland, for example.
It's the best way to think of it is not that learning is like the connection that's made in the exchange. It's that your brain is the exchanges, that you're learning to make those connections. Your brain is the operator at each of those exchanges. And it's a slightly simplistic view of learning, because obviously learning happens in all sorts of clever ways in our brain, but basically doing the same thing over and over again will help you to do it better, but also doing the same thing with a variety of different styles. So I was saying to you, just like in the old days, if you called Cardiff to Edinburgh, you might go via the exchange in Bristol and York and somewhere else, Carlisle maybe. But also the next day it might go via another set of exchanges, and actually your brain having this kind of web of ways of doing it, which is what, you know, doing exercises is, isn't it? It's about taking a problem apart and going, let's try doing it a different way, let's try applying that knowledge to the way you have to play it when you play that piece or whatever, and then creating that kind of web of connections. So yeah, it's not just the phone line going from one exchange to the other, it's the exchanges connecting to each other.
Yeah, because I simplified it as one-to-one, didn't I? Because I always thought, if you went back in time, yes, because I'm simple, that's right, that an operator goes clunk, clunk, and it's the way to go. But as you explained, there may not be a connection from Cardiff to Glasgow, so she will say, okay, bear with me. Then she has to connect with the Midlands somewhere, and then she has to connect with York.
Each of those individual operators, the more they do that type of call, the better,
the quicker they are.
So we're making an analogy about learning by talking about an operator learning. So that's,
it's all good stuff. But it shows that you just got to be patient. You got to allow it. And I often find that the brain is still processing after, isn't it? So you play your drums and you think, I just can't get it. Sometimes just leave it. Give it 5, go to bed, go and do something else.
I'm a massive believer in walking away and coming back.
And then in the morning, you suddenly, and loads of drummers will connect with this, you wake up in the morning and think, I can do it. That's because that operator is doing all those connections while you're taking your break, isn't it? That's how immense the brain is.
And sleep, sleeping well is an important part of learning, because that's when all that
puts it all together.
Gets integrated.
So you've got to give yourself, or your brain, you've got to give it a bit of, sort of, give it a break, as they call it. No, don't expect everything in one hit. Go away, let it sleep on it, let it work it out. If your brain could talk to you, it'd say, just give me 5 minutes and I'll make the connections for you. And that's the way to do it. And Jan is struggling on his grade 4 because his connections won't come together yet. But he'll get there. You know, he's doing really good.
He's fire in the exchange in Bristol, that's the problem.
Excellent. So, right then, so we've covered the 3 points that we wanted to cover. It's actually 23 minutes past. We've gone longer than anyone else, but I think that's a really important subject.
Because I can't shut up.
No, not at all. It's really important. I think it helps, and we want to mix between customers' experiences, beginners that are trying to get onto the drums of all ages, but also those that we come in contact with that have got particular skills and so on. We want to throw that information out because all of that's good advice for everybody. So we're just going to touch on a couple of things. Practice pads, all over our website if you're interested in them. Evans practice pads are really good, one-sided or two-sided. You've got the 12-inch ones there, you've got the smaller ones as well. Always love our UFIP cymbals, of course. We've got a lovely little tree here that's in the shop at the moment. These are really nice. They got the hi-hats or the other effects. What's that one? That's the flanger stack. You've got the little hi-hats there, and you've got the PSTXs here as well. And they look really nice. We've set them up as a little tree, but also X-hats. So these little babies, I'm going to stand up for this one, fly around here. This is a little X-hat by Pearl, and there's a spring inside. So if you want to loosen it off, you're going to have that, or if you want to pinch it down, it'll stay there to have a much shorter setup. So they're really good with a little spring inside. We do the minor version, the spring underneath, or the Pearl version, the spring inside. Really nice. So if you like any of these products and everything else, then just jump here, pop on the website, and look at that. No cows have been heard in the making of the mat. This is by Drum and Bass through BR Distribution, and there we are, they're vegan. There you go.
Vegan mat.
They're called vegan mats. They're really nice drum mats, so they come in a few different colours and funky ones like that. They're going on the website as well. I'm trying to do different things. Yeah, great name. So really good. So thank you all for watching, and even if, because there's a lot of boys and girls have said they've either got drum lessons or they're out on the Thursday night, but they catch up after. So whenever it is, thank you for watching. Keep looking at the website. Thank you for the support. And thank you to Jan. I've got to give him a free drum lesson for this now.
When am I having that then? I promise. You heard that, Johan. Free lesson.
On the back burner, it's called.
Yeah, on the never, never, is it?
But thank you very much, Jan. Excellent. Take care all and listen to his advice. And by the way, what's the best time to phone a doctor in the morning?
Oh gosh, never. Just stay home, don't ring.
In their defence, don't forget, they're victims of the system, same as everybody else, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
The pressure on.
Yes.
It's not that you don't want to see anybody, is it?
No, God, no. Seen more people now than I've ever seen in my career before.
Yeah. So it's tough on everyone. But anyway, stay safe, look after yourselves. Ciao. So I come round and I say bye-bye. And I can never remember how to turn it off.
And then you spend 10 minutes talking and it's still live.
We're at 17.